Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Millennial's Point of View. Today I got my friend Ryan here with me, and we're going to be talking about Halo Reach. It was just re-released on the Xbox One, so we wanted to use that as a chance to talk about one of our favorite games ever made.
Hell yeah, let's get to it.
Alright, so to start off talking about this game, let's go into the campaign. So Ryan, what are your thoughts on it?
So, Reach is one of those games where first time you play it, it's just magical. Mm-hmm. The campaign for me is definitely one of those a little heartfelt, honestly. Mm-hmm. More so than I felt in any other Halo. Just because Master Chief and the other ones always has like that. He's basically a god.
Yeah, exactly.
There is no vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
And Reach is kind of different in the fact that it really makes you fall in love with the characters, and maybe love's the wrong word, but it makes you really feel for them and really want them to win.
Makes you invested.
Yeah, and then like the way the game just plays out is just, it's emotional. Like the only other game I can really say that has that in Halo is ODST. Mm-hmm. But even then, ODST is kind of a different type of feel. It's more somber. This game,
pretty actiony.
You have the action, but you also have like the softer moments too.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's the reason why I love this campaign and really like the ODST campaign as well, is that, again, it's more relatable. You actually feel like the characters are in danger. And, they're not the face of the franchise, so you know that they could die. And this is Reach, so this is where all the Spartans besides Master Chief dies anyway, so you kind of know how it's going to end. But yeah, that's what makes it a lot better, just story-wise, is that you can actually feel like you're invested in the characters and not feel like you're just playing a god. And faith's of Microsoft, they're not going to kill off Chief, obviously, but they will kill off pretty much any of the other characters in the series. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, I think the story too is pretty well written out too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a really interesting prequel, honestly, to the first Halo game.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really give you much context into how Chief got to the ring in the first place. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of nice they explored, honestly, back to the origins, honestly, of Chief. Even before, like, the first game, Mm-hmm. Plus, I think Reach, too. I like, overall, just the design of, like, the game as a whole. Just the art style.
It definitely looks different, for sure. The elites look completely different. The Spartan armor is different. It's not, like, super different where it feels foreign and, like, it doesn't fit in with the rest of the series, but it looks different enough where it's like, oh, wow, this is kind of interesting. It
makes you really think of, like, how a Bungie game would have looked like on the Xbox One and the PS4, just because they were on the tail end of, like, the Xbox 360, so obviously they were maxing out the full potential of the systems. Mm-hmm. And just looking at the games from, like, 3, ODST, and then Reach, I mean, the game looks stunning.
Yeah, it's definitely a big leap, for certain. And, you can see a lot of Halo Reach and Destiny's, some of the early game armor in that design, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure, but Destiny was just kind of a letdown for me.
Oh, yeah.
Coming from, like, Bungie and from, like, Halo. Because, like, Halo Reach kind of set my expectations up really high.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people feel that way about Destiny, but you never know. It could be more Activision than Bungie, you know what I mean?
I mean, I enjoyed it when it first came out, because it had a lot of, like, Halo-y elements, like that sci-fi. Mm-hmm. And it borrowed a lot in, like, its fluidity of its combat.
Yeah.
And how everything worked, and it was a little bit of a shake-up, too, but getting back to, like, the campaign and the design of it and all that, I really enjoyed the ending.
It was a good ending.
That was hands down probably in like my top 10 most badass moments in gaming.
Yeah, you want to describe it real quick for the audience?
Yeah, so this has been a while since I've beaten it. But by the end of the game, everybody's starting to dwindle down, and the Covenant are starting to glass the planet, which basically means they're just nuking the crap out of it, and there's no hope. Everybody's trying to abandon ship. So they're supposed to get off on the Pillar of Autumn, I think.
I think that's what it was,
from Halo 1 Combat Evolved. They're trying to get that ship off, and their final goal of the remaining surviving members of Noble Team is to see them off. Mm-hmm. And it just boils down into this perilous fight to the death between the surviving members, you, and just these hordes of elites. And just the setting is incredible. The planet's getting glass. It's like this red, amber glow. Dust is picking up, and you're just wrecking elites, killing them. You're slicing them. You're shooting them. And the way they end on it, because ultimately you die.
Yeah.
As the main character.
It has a very similar feel to the nuke in Modern Warfare 1.
Yes.
Where it's like all hope is lost and you know that your character's going to die, but it's making you play like the last moments of their life.
But you go down with a fight.
Yeah.
He does not stop. Even with an energy sword in him, that man's still kicking and fighting. And it was an incredible feeling.
Yeah, it's very, very different experience controlling that kind of thing in first person. Not many games really do it, but when they do, it can be a really effective way of storytelling for sure. And other than the story and the ending and all that stuff being great, the gameplay is just fun. That's really the bread and butter of the Halo series. It's just fun gameplay.
The gameplay was in its most refined in Reach, at its pinnacle.
And this is the last one that Bungie worked on, so they wanted to go out with a bang. And they definitely succeeded in that, I think.
They definitely put a lot of effort into everything that went into this game, and it really shows. Just because the campaign is so well written, so well directed, the voice acting is on par. The whole thing is just an immersive experience to be a part of.
Yeah.
And it really pulls you in to that role as the what was the name for the Noble Team 6? I thought he had like a title or something.
I forget. It's been a minute since I played the campaign.
He may or she may not have. I don't remember. But that, I think it was just the lone wolf, honestly, from his previous role. So it really pulls into like that lone wolf type of feel at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like it really ties in. Like if I had to describe one word, I'd use one word to describe Reach. It'd be epic. The story is epic. The design is epic. It's iconic.
Yeah, and I think that Halo Reach is one of the last first-person shooters that actually doesn't only focus on multiplayer so much and actually has a good campaign.
Oh, the campaign was like it was you know that they took their time writing it. Yeah,
exactly. They had a team that was just campaign, and that's a good thing because nowadays first-person shooters are so multiplayer focused. I'd say 99 out of 100 of them have a no campaign or a shitty campaign. So I think that's important to have a good campaign because it gets you like familiar with the game mechanics before you can actually get into the multiplayer.
And it really sets the mood for the multiplayer in general.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can take maps that are made from similar design aspects of the campaign levels.
And it's like, oh, hey, I remember this. This is really sick.
Yeah, it makes the world feel kind of like coherent and stuff instead of being all separate.
It just feels the atmosphere of the game more.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of just these random maps that have nothing to do with anything. And they're just kind of there to, like, move around in. Like, oh, okay, now I have this emotional connection with, like, this map compared to this one. And I really like that. And kind of moving on to the multiplayer, I guess, now. It's, in my opinion, probably one of the best multiplayer FPS games
ever made. Oh, yeah.
in my eyes, in my opinion.
I mean, it's so good that we even still play it today, and that was before the re-release even.
But I can't remember the last time I've played, like, an older Call of Duty, like World at War. I know, like, I don't even know if the online's still on for them. But, like, Halo Reach, even before, like, the Master Chief Collection came out, like, it had a pretty solid community.
Yeah, still a few thousand and all that stuff, and now it's only grown with that re-release, and I think that's a great thing because it's always fun to go into Reach and play online. I like it more than Fortnite. I like it more than any multiplayer game online, really. The only game I think I might play online more is Smash Brothers, but that's just because I'm trying to get better at Smash Brothers kind of thing.
I mean, I definitely feel like it still holds up as one of the better multiplayer experiences. Call of Duty is great and all, but the series kind of stagnated.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the newest one is phenomenal.
Yeah, I still like playing Call of Duty online, but I'm not going to go play Call of Duty online by myself very often. But Halo Reach, I could see myself, and I do actually play by myself from time to time. Of course, it's more fun with other people, but, Halo Reach's Online is so fun that I can find enjoyment of it just by myself.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Halo Reach for me is I like the multiplayer. I like the games like Slayer, Griffball, King of the Hill, Domination, all that stuff. But I never really played anything other than SWAT.
Yeah, SWAT's where it's at. We are very big on the SWAT. If you don't know what that is, if you're not a fan of the game or haven't played it, it's headshots only, really. I mean, you can kill people without headshots, but it's much, much faster to kill with the headshots in that mode. But yeah, just running around the map, popping off headshots on people, it is such a fun mode. And I don't know exactly like why I like it so much more than the other ones. Maybe it's just the adrenaline of like, oh, I could die in one hit kind of thing. Or maybe I'm just not into like generating shields and health and all that, but I think that it's just a fantastic mode. You know, and I think what makes the multiplayer in SWAT specifically so much fun for me is the DMR. Now, the DMR is just a fantastic weapon. It is a single burst rifle that gets harder to shoot accurately the more you fire it. So you gotta take your time with it to get those headshots in SWAT, and I just think it makes it so much fun, and I like it a lot more than the battle rifle and all that stuff. What do you think?
Well, for me, there is no other way to play SWAT than with just the DMR. I hate all the variations where it has like the magnums and some of the newer Halos where it has like the battle rifle and all that. And I'm sure some people like them and they're more competitive or whatever. But I just find it to be, maybe I'm just a purist, honestly. I just find the DMR to be the best way to play SWAT.
Oh, yeah.
Because Magnum,
I agree completely.
You're just like spastically shooting, and then like it's hard to aim. It's harder to aim. I feel like it's just like it's not as fun.
Yeah, I feel like the DMR almost feels like a mini sniper rifle almost, but a lot less recoil, but still one shot only, and it just makes it seem so much more badass than shooting 3-round bursts. And you know, if one of those 3 bullets hits you in the head, then you can kill them, but you gotta make your shots count with the DMR, and I think that's what I like so much about it.
I think it's a testament to the sound design of the DMR too, because it sounds so powerful and impactful when you actually pull the controller on the trigger on the controller and you hear it.
Yeah.
It has that sound. I think in general, like the gun sounds in that game are just amazing.
And the sound design in general is pretty good too, because you know you hear someone coming from behind you with like the footsteps and all that stuff. It lets you know. It makes you prepared to face enemies, so you can tell when people are in the same room as you, because of the footsteps. And you know, having that detail is a very important thing when it comes to online shooters. You know.
What do you think of the map design?
I generally like all the maps in the base game, give or take a couple. Obviously, Sword Base is amazing. Best map in the game, in my opinion, at least multiplayer-wise. But the DLC maps are kind of shitty. They are not my cup of tea. I'm not a fan of the DLC maps. I had not even played them until the Master Chief Collection.
Same.
Yeah.
I never knew they even existed until the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, I guess they had a team still working on the game a little bit here and there, and that was news to me.
I mean, I've gotten used to them, but like, there's nothing quite like the OG original maps.
Yeah.
For sure.
There isn't like a really bad stinker that I can really think of. There are a couple that I don't really like prefer playing on, but it's not like I see that map and I'm like, oh, I want to quit the match, which sometimes happens with like DLC maps. I'm just like, I'd rather not even play this match, but you know, you can't really quit or else it penalizes you. It's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, I think all the maps kind of have they have like I want to say like almost like a circular path almost. Like you can run around the map and it feels natural for most of them. I mean, I think Sword Base would probably be the opposite of that. But but I feel that the way they design the maps, they have a nice flow to them. What I like about the maps is that it has an unobstructed path. So movement feels natural, smooth.
And it flows.
Yeah. Beautifully. And it has a mix of long avenues of view that you can see someone from distance, but it's not so that you don't have enough cover to go through. So it gives you like this nice cat and mouse type of gameplay, and I think it suits SWAT
pretty well.
Really well.
Yeah, and the maps are like the same across the all the modes, by the way. Give or take, there are some maps that are super big that are only in like one mode, but other than that, they're pretty universal.
I mean, if they're in another mode, I've probably never played them.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna lie. If it's not in the SWAT rotation, then I've definitely never touched it.
Yeah, and going off of what you said before is that with like the flow of the maps and things like that, there aren't that many maps that make it where you have an advantage of being on one side or the other. You can't really spawn trap people that much. Of course you can. Like, it can be done, but it's not that bad in comparison to some other online games that I've played.
Oh, yeah, like, you're thinking, like, original Call of Duty Black Ops 1, dude. Like,
yeah.
that was a fun, fantastic game, but, like, the maps were kind of crappy.
Yeah, it was so easy to spawn trap people.
It was way too easy to get spawn trapped and just stuck in an area and then just get decimated.
Yeah, even in the new Call of Duty, it's super easy to get spawn trapped.
Yeah.
I don't know how they messed that up, like, now.
Yeah, no, like, I really don't get it, because it just seems to spawn you, like... Well, even in this game, too, I find it that sometimes the spawns aren't that great.
Mm-hmm.
Because for whatever reason, I've found that, like, it spawns you near where you died. So, like, you'll die, and then you'll get spawned, like, right in front of the person who just killed you.
Oh, yeah?
It doesn't happen often, but it does happen.
I haven't really experienced it too much. I mean, of course it's happened. Like I said, the spawns aren't perfect, but I think in comparison to some other games, they're pretty decent.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're definitely... It's not ruining my experience, but it's definitely one of those things that kind of just bugs me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There is no real one and done system that someone's found where it's like amazing and you never get spawn killed or have a crappy spawn. It's just kind of
a part of the game. Yeah,
it's kind of a luck of a draw type of thing.
Yeah, if they had a perfect one, everyone would use it. So I guess that makes sense. But that's pretty much what I have to say about the multiplayer, unless you got something else.
I mean, not really for the OG Reach. I mean, I would really like to talk about the Master Chief version of it.
Mm-hmm. And all the changes.
Just because there were definitely some changes that I felt just coming into the Master Chief Collection versus Reach.
Now, you've played the Master Chief Collection version a lot more than I have, because you played a lot over the winter break.
Yes, I played a crap ton.
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much only played Reach exclusively.
So what are your thoughts on the changes?
It was kind of weird at first. It felt different.
Oh, and what are some of the biggest changes, too?
So, I mean, it's kind of hard to describe, honestly. It felt different,
mm-hmm.
you know? There wasn't too much in the way of, like, visible changes, other than, like, the obvious, like, they changed it from, like, a ranked playlist into, like, a social, which I never quite got why it wasn't, like, ranked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even in, like, the other Halos, like 4 or 5, I think it's all in ranked.
Oh, you mean, like, for when you're searching online and things like that?
Yeah, it's in, like, the social stuff, which
mm-hmm.
I don't quite understand. Maybe that's just because I don't think Halo Reach had competitive then, so maybe that's why they put it in there.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if they integrated it into, like, the competitive, but, like, that whole...
It would be nice to, like...
Integrating it in is probably more difficult
than it sounds like it would be.
Yeah, especially because, like... I mean, this game, porting it over into, like, the Master Chief Collection is no easy task, even to begin with.
Yeah.
So there's some differences in just the way the game feels in general, the way it runs. I got used to it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel, like, horrible, and it doesn't feel super off. You just kind of get used to it, you know? I thought, for one thing, the spawns might have been just a little bit worse in the beginning.
Yeah, they definitely changed some stuff up.
Yeah.
Because I remember whenever the re-release first came out, they really pushed those DLC maps that I didn't like. But then recently, they kind of changed, like, the rotation and how often they come up, that kind of stuff.
Because it was almost exclusively DLC maps.
Yeah, wasn't it on the original Reach you used to be able to vote?
Yes.
You can't do that in this one?
You can't do that anymore, and it was a huge issue during the initial release.
Mm-hmm.
For me, because I hated the DLC maps.
Yeah.
And I get why they did that, because some people don't like voting for the same map over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, Sword Base always wins.
I want, because Sword Base is the best.
Yeah, exactly.
Or what's the other one? I can't remember the name.
Describe it a little bit.
It's like the one map where it's circular. It has like that courtyard in the middle.
Oh,
House or something.
Something like that. I know what you're talking about.
There.
Yeah.
That one's always a fan favorite. The Covenant one.
Zealot.
Zealot is definitely another one. So yeah, I can see why. You always get like the same ones.
But there's a reason for that.
Yes, because they're the best. Like,
yeah, and I feel like a game with the online community that's just established and been around this long should have like the right to choose what they want to play.
I mean, if they're gonna give, if they're gonna give all the competitive players all the stuff they want in the game, I mean, might as well just give the guys who play exclusively SWAT theirs too, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Which, I mean, they have, because they definitely listened.
Yeah, they changed it up.
Which I certainly enjoy, because it was god-awful, dude. I played High Noon over and over and over and over again to the point where I just didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's a bad map.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's got the line of sight from like the other Halo maps, but
it's so empty.
It's so empty, dude. Like, I can't tell you how many times, because I would just like go on like killing streaks, because the spawns are too predictable.
Yeah, so they're like 4 different places.
So like if you start killing people on like that plateau part in that upper left corner and get rid of them all, and you know they're spawning there, you know they're either gonna spawn to the left in that bottom pit, or to the right next to like that jump jet that comes up and over. So I'm quite renowned for just like sweeping through and then going straight to the spawn and then like spawn killing, just because I am an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that if that kind of stuff is there, you're gonna take advantage of it.
You're gonna take advantage of it.
Or else you're gonna be taken advantage of. Like, that's just, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, you know?
Let me tell you, I did not want to know the spawns that well, but because that map was on rotation so heavy, I just got...
You just got used to it.
I was force-fed to learn that map.
Yeah. You know, since we're talking about the DLC maps and maps we don't like, could we just take a minute to appreciate the greatness of Sword Base and talk about why it's maybe the best map in any multiplayer game ever?
It's got all the nooks and crannies, man. I don't know how to...
It's just so... It's so legendary. The lift room is where all the action goes down. That's the deciding factor right there. And then, you know, once you got the lift room, it's really hard to get it back, you know?
It's one of those weird maps, too, where it has verticality, but it's not overcomplicated.
Yeah, exactly. It's simple, because the main point of friction are the 2 bridges and the lift. And there are some other points of friction, like the dining hall area and a few other places, but those are the major ones. Those are your game deciding, like, this is where, if you win these battles, then you probably are going to win that round.
Yeah, because everybody sticks up in that upper building with, like, the one room that looks over that bridge.
And the lift, like, right next to it.
What I really like about it is just the way that the map's set up. Mm-hmm. So you have very tight corners inside those wings.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have, like, again, getting back to those line of sights that you have that look down, that give you a good overlook into, like, the next room, but it has cover, though.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of different options. You have so many options in that map where everything feels pretty viable. And, you know, the lift is a little bit more risky if they already have it, but if you want to get there fast, that's where you go. But if you want to take a safer route, you got to go up the stairs and then come across the bridge, that kind of thing. And you mentioned the verticality. And, you know, that's what makes this map so great, too, is the options and the verticality. Because you think, oh, verticality in a first-person shooter, that's kind of annoying, like, to be able to get from place to place. But it's not, because they give you, like, lifts and other things that make it easy to get pretty much anywhere on the map fairly quickly. It's not a super huge map, and I think that that's another great thing. They didn't feel the need to, like, overpopulate it.
Put too much in there and make it too big and wide.
Yeah.
It's just the perfect map. It's like Nuketown from like Halo and like, or not Halo, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect size map.
Where action's always happening.
There's always action happening somewhere. You don't have to go too far to find someone to shoot, you know?
Yeah, and it's not too small where it's like BS, like that one map in the new Call of Duty. Like where it's a bunch of shipping crates and stuff. I don't really like that map. I think it's too small.
Shipyard.
Yeah.
Or I'm not really sure what it's called. The one where in the new one.
Yeah, the new one.
I don't mind it. It gets a little too chaotic, I think. Sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think, like you said, Nuketown and Sword Base, and I'm sure there are some other maps that I'm not thinking of right now, but they're just like the perfect size.
I'm trying to think, are there any other games with like the same level of design in their multiplayers?
I could argue Battlefield in a sense. I'm not a huge Battlefield fan, but I could recognize that it has some good design choices.
I think in like their team deathmatch maps, I think 4 is pretty comparable, but I think 4's level design is a little bit... I think it's quite a bit more different. than what like Reach was going for, because Battlefield always had that more realistic approach to it.
Yeah.
So like the level design
reflected that.
Yeah, it reflected, close quarter combats with like open wide streets.
Mm-hmm.
But,
and that doesn't necessarily make for the most fun levels or unique.
I mean, I think in their case, I think they handled it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, like, you like Battlefield 4 a lot more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I can still, like, appreciate it and be like, it's not a bad game. Even though it might have been bad at launch, but it's not a bad game now.
Yeah, that's one of those things I think Halo, at least the original ones, really did right. Was they always launched really solid. They always had a good footing going in.
That was before the era of, like, finish the game after you release it.
Finish it later.
Yeah.
Type of deal. Yeah, because, like...
And I hate it when games do that.
Games like Battlefield, I mean... Battlefield 4 did have a rocky start.
Yeah.
But I would say, hands down, Battlefield 4 is probably one of the best ones out of that series. Some may argue, Bad Company would probably be another contender for some people.
Yeah.
But I feel like Battlefield 4 was probably the best one out of those.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't like Battlefield 1. And I didn't like, where this other one was, like Battlefield 5.
Yeah, something like that.
Something with World War II. Didn't touch it.
Yeah, no, I'm not a huge Battlefield guy. So, it makes no difference to me which one you're playing. I'm just not a huge fan of the series. But, getting back to Halo, is there any other changes in the Master Chief Collection you want to talk about?
I really wish SWATums wasn't a thing. Or SWAT Magnums something?
Yeah, like SWAT Magnums with like where it's only Magnums.
It's like SWATums. No, it's called SWATum.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called SWATum. I really detest Magnums being in SWAT. I really detest it.
Yeah, that was in the original game too,
I know,
though.
but I detest it.
Yeah, no one ever picked it. But now since you can't pick, you're just going to get it.
You're going to get it, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And I detest that so much.
Hey, if you're listening, 343, some employee from there, just let us vote again.
Just
please.
let us vote.
That's the only thing I really don't like about the changes.
Or just put SWATum in its own category.
Yeah, that'd be nice too. But, moving on, you want to talk a little bit about the Forge. Now, I don't really have experience like with any of the Forge modes in Halo, so you're going to have to really carry this section.
So, Forge is one of those things that obviously was built upon. I think Halo 3 was the first one that actually started it.
Mm-hmm.
And Halo Reach took it to like the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Because the level of power that you have to manipulate different assets from the game is kind of insane for a game of that era. You know, it's
you got to keep in mind this game came out what 8-9 years ago.
8-9 years ago. When did Minecraft come out?
Around the same time.
Around the same time.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's got some more choices. Like it's basically like a map editor. If you ever played like Far Cry.
Okay.
Almost, in a sense like that. Or trying to think of any other games that have it.
Oh, it's basically like creative mode in Minecraft, but just like more limited.
Yeah, it is. You really can't just build whatever you want. You have certain assets. It's Fallout 4 would be a good example.
Or even Mario Maker would be a good example as well. As like you have set assets. You can't make your own thing.
Yeah, you're stuck with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
But the main difference between like Fallout 4's settlement creation and like Forge is that it's a whole entire map that you have.
Yeah.
You know, there's different options. You could build whatever you want, how big you want, within like the set limit that it has.
Yeah.
And the controls are surprisingly in depth. Like I still don't know exactly how to like control everything. Because you can get into the nitty gritty. Like you can set different objects to phase in here and snap here, or you can like freehand it and move it around.
Okay.
So you have like complete and utter control on how you want to design a map.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool too, that you giving players that option. And isn't there like a playlist for Forge or something like that?
Oh yeah, no, there's some Forge maps in the Master Chief Collection from like the original game.
Yeah.
That people made that got popular enough. Because they used to have like the share function where you could like share your creations with other people in different maps. So that ended up getting like piled onto like the playlist.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat that they have it here. I wish there was more functionality with it.
Yeah, like there used to be.
You can't use like the share function anymore. You really can't do anything with that. And I feel, yet again, I'm not sure in the original if you could put SWAT as like a game type, because I wanted to make a SWAT map.
Yeah, well, I think there was actually a map that somebody made in Forge that they was
But that-
pretty popular and
Yeah,
they used it in
but
SWAT.
then it got put into SWAT. But I'm talking like when you're actually like in the settings to like pick like what map you want. I wish you could like, because it only gives you like 14 choices.
Really?
Yeah, SWAT's not one of them. That's just 343 if you're listening. Add SWAT because I want to be able to make maps and like have my friends come in and play. Because I spent a decent amount of time making like a SWAT map.
Oh yeah.
And then I found out, like, oh, I can't switch it to SWAT, so why did I just waste all this time making this super dope map that I'm never gonna touch?
Yeah, that's funny. I don't know. I just love the creative aspect of it. I might not use it very often in a lot of games, like in Mario Maker or things like that. I don't really build stuff. I just play stuff that other people build. But that's what I love about it. It's like almost unlimited content where you can just keep playing the game and it's always kind of new stuff, rearranged. Almost like it's made by a computer, like AI kind of thing, but it's just people, you know?
Yeah.
And it's creative, and it adds like a fun factor to the game that, you know, you can't really get with a lot of games. I mean, I know more and more games nowadays are having custom make your own thing kind of modes, but back then it wasn't super common.
No, it wasn't. It was kind of a first, really. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure other games may have had it that I can't think of.
Yeah,
but,
Halo 3 had it first, but still.
But Halo 3, I mean, it was severely limited.
Yeah.
Severely limited compared to what Reach can do. Because
Mm-hmm.
everything was just expanded. More space, more options. You could do more with the objects.
Yeah.
So, just like, for me, anyhow, like, I'm not super big into Forge. But, like, it's nice to have, like, a little bit of extra content, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Make my own stuff. Which you really don't get that bang for your buck anymore.
Very true. Very true. I agree. But, since we were just talking about Halo 3, why don't we reflect on the series a little bit?
Ah, majestic.
It's quite the series.
It is quite the emotional roller coaster going all the way through, man.
Yeah. I mean, you start off with Halo 1. Masterpiece. Fantastic campaign. It's my personal favorite campaign, to be honest. Because of like how open it is, and the levels feel like kind of like an open world game almost, but just confined within their own levels, which I think is really cool. You know, obviously it hasn't aged like the best. There are some issues with it that aren't in later Halo games, but it's still a classic and still a must play. And the great thing about all the Halo games, at least up to like 5, I think, you can play them co-op in the campaign, which is a really fun thing to do.
I mean, it's something missing from some of the newer ones, is being able to play with your friends.
Yeah.
Getting to go through like that whole experience with your friend is just incredibly fun, you know?
Oh yeah, I think it's a very important aspect of the games that they kind of overlooked to add a little bit more graphic fidelity, which honestly isn't worth it in my book.
My whole thing with like the way the Halo franchise has gone, I don't mind competitive gaming. I don't mind, you know, Fortnite doing its own thing and like Rainbow Six Siege and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But what I really hate in general is just when like the multiplayer primarily the multiplayer's focus goes from like making fun game types and having fun with people to these
just being competitive.
just
kind of
these
thing.
like almost robotic rule sets, you know?
Yeah.
Because like that's why I did not like SWAT on Halo 5.
Yeah.
I hated it. I hate the battle rifle. We already know, we've already established, I hate the Magnum. So you can already tell my feelings on the battle rifle. It's just blasphemy to me. I hate it. I don't find these super strict rule sets too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I played it extensively. I got up until like I wasn't amazing, but I got like gold or something.
Yeah, so you put a lot of time into
I put a little time. I'm not
definitely more than me.
I'm definitely not amazing, but like I made it through the ranks, got the gold. I know it goes with like the platinum or something else, but like I was working my way up there through it for a bit, and I just didn't quite enjoy it as much. Like I can come back to like Reach, play it competitively, because that's what I like about it. I like the competitive aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
I like to go through and put my all and like, you know, destroy everybody and then maybe sometimes get my butt kicked here and there.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's just, I think the fun comes from the community more than like the developers like forcing you to do this, play this certain way with this certain rule set. And I think maybe them putting SWAT into the social is kind of a blessing.
Yeah.
You know? Because like now I'm not stuck with like stupid ban rule, like if you quit out or something.
Mm-hmm.
Which, now that I think about it, they still have it.
Yeah, but it's not like as strict, I don't think, in social.
No, it's well, I mean, it's like, I think it's through the whole thing, like online.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you quit, you get like, it gets marked on your account, and if you do it too many times, you'll get banned.
For a few hours,
Yeah, no, that bugs me. Because like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't rage quit, but like sometimes I'm doing other stuff and I need to quit.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get banned because maybe I want to come back like 20 minutes from now and still be able to play, or like 5 minutes, you know?
Yeah, it's not really that bad of a thing if you don't do it too often. But getting back on topic here, we got Halo 2. Halo 2
I completely forgot about that.
is not one of my favorite ones, to be honest.
I did not like it. It's too hard.
Yeah.
It's way too hard.
It's a little too hard.
Legendary
And
is
it ends on like a cliffhanger, which is dumb. You know, they didn't want to end on that cliffhanger, but they had to because of time constraints. And, you know, I never really played the online multiplayer. Now, to get into one that I did play the online multiplayer for, first one, Halo 3. I played the heck out of that online multiplayer. I loved it. I loved the campaign as well. I like how it ends and all that stuff, and it's like pretty good closure. Of course, you knew they were going to keep Halo going, but at the time, it felt like, you know, they could end the series here, and people would be pretty satisfied.
I mean, in a sense, they kind of did. I mean, it was the last Bungie Halo game that...
Besides Reach.
Well, Reach doesn't really continue the story arc of Chief, which is the main focus.
That's true.
It kind of left it again. Wasn't it on a cliffhanger? See, I never really played Halo 3 that much.
Halo 3 wasn't on a cliffhanger. They just kind of ended it.
You kind of just
It was pretty cut and clear. You know, that kind of thing. He was just drifting into space, and he presumably was going to, like, go in hypersleep until the next time he was needed, kind of thing. You know.
I played 4. Don't remember much of it.
Yeah, 4, nobody likes 4 anymore. Yeah. Like, at the time, I think it was pretty well received, but now it's like, oh, people don't like 4.
It has an age as well.
Yeah, and then Halo 5, I have very little experience with, to be honest.
I didn't like the story.
Mm-hmm.
Multiplayer, I enjoyed a little bit.
I enjoyed the multiplayer in 4 enough, but it wasn't that great. You know, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I liked how fluid it was.
Oh, yeah. And then
60 FPS was nice.
And then we're forgetting about ODST, which is probably the best campaign, in my opinion, of any Halo game.
It might just be. Between Reach and ODST, it's kind of a tough
call.
Tough call, because they're both great in their own different right.
Yeah, and for me, what makes me like ODST the most, at least campaign-wise, because it doesn't really have a multiplayer, it's just Halo 3's. The thing that makes me like that the most as far as campaign goes is the suspense of it all. Like, the feeling of loneliness and how you feel alone. We could definitely...
That's smooth jazz, man.
Yeah.
That smooth, somber jazz with that rain. Ooh. Nothing's ever made me feel... Actually, you know why I never played that game until later?
Yeah.
Because it made me feel so alone, dude. And I was so young. I was like, oh, man, I don't like this. It's getting kind of scary here. I ended up just putting it off till later, but I love that game.
Oh, it's fantastic. And, you know, that's my opinion on most of the Halo series. You know, it's had a couple of trips and falls here and there with, like, 4 and 5. But, especially with the Bungie ones, I love the Halo series. It's one of my favorites, for sure.
It's easily one of the most iconic game series ever. I mean, it built the FPS franchise.
On console, yeah.
On console, for sure. I mean, it blew up.
Yeah. It made first-person shooters what they are on consoles today.
Oh, for sure. Doom may have started it, but Halo defined it.
Yeah.
Honestly, what an FPS game should be and how it should play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, other games have worked upon that formula, but Halo really sets the bar from what everybody else built off of.
And in my opinion, and I think you agree with me on this, Halo Reach is the best series has ever been, and most likely ever will be.
I think that's when the series peaked.
Yeah.
That's definitely the last time that I can think that, like, it just had a universal
everybody
love
loves
and
it.
glow for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody's decisive about 4. 5 definitely as well.
And I feel like, I hope that I'm wrong, and Infinite is a great game and brings the series back to, like, the former greatness. But I think the Infinite's going to disappoint some people, and probably me included in that, you know. I'll try it out, but
I have high hopes.
You never know.
I mean, they've taken a long time on Infinite.
I hope it's good.
And I have a feeling that, like, if they're taking this much time to make sure to get it right, I mean, Because the more time you have for something like this, the better. So I just feel like they're actually taking the time to put the passion in to make it a solid game.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. I have high hopes that they're not gonna put a crapshoot, because I think from Halo 4 to 5 was like, how long was the development gap?
Like a year or two.
Like a year or two. Like that's not enough time to make a quality game. I mean, you want to shit out.
And they were rushing it out too, so they could have it an Xbox One Halo as well. You could tell.
Yeah, I feel like this one, because well, I think 6 is coming out on the next Xbox, isn't it? Is it going to be a launch title?
I think it's gonna be a launch title, but it'll also be on the Xbox One. So we'll see how it goes. But either way, I'm kind of excited. I'll definitely give her a go when it comes out.
Oh, for sure.
But is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that pretty much sums up my love for Halo Reach.
Yeah, definitely my favorite Halo. Definitely let us know down below what you think of Halo Reach, and maybe give us a ranking of your like top 3 Halo games. Tell us what your favorites are, and maybe even some of your least favorites. And if you like this kind of content, please let me know, and we can continue to do more of it. We got plenty of games that we would like to talk about in the future for sure. And, you know, I'm sure you guys love hearing Cookie's smooth, sexy voice.
Oh, of course. Oh, I'm sure.
But yeah, thanks, buddy, for coming on, and I'm sure we'll be doing this again in the future. So if you want to hear more of that, please subscribe, like, and share to help the channel grow. And we'll see you next time.